Hi, this is Rebecca from Rebecca'sTreasures.com, and today I will show you how you can use PicMonkey to make shop buttons for your website store. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to www.picmonkey.com. We're just going to wait while it loads. Next we're going to go to this design element here, icon. You can hover over it and it should turn orange. You can either click right on it or you can hover and click on custom, and here we're going to click on custom and we're going to input the size for a button. In my case I'm going to go ahead and do 200 times 50. Make it. Now we're just waiting for it to load in the editor. Alright, so here we get to choose our color. Automatically it's set to white, which is FFFFFF, and here we can go ahead and change a color. You can either click one from in the box here, or you can use the scroller to adjust the color, the light, and the depth of the color. Or if you want to and you know the number, you can type your number right into this box here, like I'm going to do. In my case I know which color I'd like, so I'm going to type it in right now. When you're satisfied with your color, you click apply and it'll be all set. Now we're going to go ahead and zoom our button in so we can see it better throughout the video. And it helps to do this too when you're working on your buttons, and you can always go back to 100% to see how it's looking. At any time you can resize your button by going into the resize section at the side here. When you're happy with it, you just click apply, or you can click cancel. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the frames icon, which is the sixth one down. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on the simple edge. And here you can see there's two borders, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to adjust the corner radius first. I'd like to give it a 10. But you can make it however you like. You can have rounded corners or choose not to have rounded corners. I only want to have one border, so I'm going to get rid of the inner color. Now I'm going to make the outer color border a smaller thickness. Now I'm going to change the color because I don't want it to be black. You can either use one of the colors that it shows up in the boxes here, or if you would prefer, you can click on this tool and you can hover it over and it will help select the color from what you see on the screen. When you find a color, you just click. But I know what color I want to use, so I'm going to go ahead and type it into the field here, and if you know your color, you can type it there too. Once you've got your color, just click back on the color box to select it. When you're happy, go ahead and click apply. Now we're going to go to rounded corners, so we can give the corners a rounded edge, and I'm going to put it to 10 like I did for the inner corners. And I'm going to click on transparent corners so that it doesn't have a white background or any color, and it's just the button itself. Once you're happy, you can click apply. Now what I want to do is give my button some depth, so I'm going to go to the drop shadow thing here, and I'm going to take away the distance so that it centers. Now you could adjust the angle if you want to, but once you take away the distance, it doesn't really show the angle or the shadow so much. You can adjust the size, but I like to give it a 10 pixel size around the border, because even though you can adjust the margins later, it's not always easy. You can change the background color, but I want to make it transparent. And here we're going to go ahead and click apply. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and save this base button. This is the regular shop button that I've just created here. And once you'll be directed to a page like this where you can name name your file, and then you can save it to the computer. You just find your folder or make a new one and save it where you can find it easily. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and work the longer button, and what we're going to do is we're just going to undo everything that we just did until we get to our rectangle with just one color right here like we have now. Now what we want to go is to the basic edits, and we're going to resize at the bottom here, and I want to make the width to be 230, so I'm going to write in 230. Oops, I forgot to turn off the key proportions. I want to have the same height. So what you need to do is if you want to make changes to the width or the height, you need to make sure you click the box off so that it does not keep the proportions. So now I can keep the same height as the other button as 50, and here we can click apply. Now we're just going to repeat all the same steps that we did for the other button. So we're going to go back to the frames. We're going to go to the simple edge. But before we do that, let's go ahead and check out what it would look like if you were to do a museum mate, or however you say that. You see you can adjust the thickness and change the color if you want to. But I don't want to do that one. I'm going to do the same as I did for the my regular button. So we're going to go to the simple edge. We're going to adjust the corner radius to 10. We're going to get rid of the inner color. We're going to adjust the outer color thickness. And now we're going to change the color of the outer collar border. Sometimes it goes a little wonky. Click to secure it in place. Apply. Now we're going to go to the rounded corners, and we're going to adjust it to 10. Transparent corners. Apply. All that's left is to add the depth. So we're going to go back to the drop shadow. We're going to take the distance to 0. Add the transparent background. Everything else stays the same, and apply. Now we're going to go and save it. Oops, I accidentally clicked something over here. Save. Now you can name your long button. I'm going to name it long button to differentiate it from the regular shorter button. I'm going to save it to the same folder. There we go. And that's how you make your buttons. Let's go ahead and go to PicMonkey.com again, and this time we're going to go ahead and add some text overlays to our shop buttons. It takes a little bit to load sometimes, but it's always good to reload the page when you're going to start something new, because sometimes it gets kind of laggy if you leave it open too long. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hover over the edit, and we're going to click on it, and we're going to go searching for our button base, and we're going to open it. From here, we're going to go ahead and zoom in so we can see what we're working on a little bit better. You don't have to zoom in if you don't want to, but sometimes it helps. And over to the left here, we're going to click on the text icon, which is the fourth from the bottom. It's the one with the T's. Now the text icon sometimes takes a while to load all of the text, so don't worry about that. Okay, so here's a list of all the text that you can choose from. I have one at the really top here, so I'm going to click on it and add text. And then a box will pop up in a minute here. And I'm going to go ahead and type in add to cart right away, just so I don't lose the box. Because sometimes if you don't type something in right away and you click somewhere, then the box disappears, and while it might still be there, it's kind of hard to find it. Okay, I'm going to select the text. I'm going to make it bold and centered, and I'm going to change the color by typing my color code up at the top here. Of course, you can choose any coloring you like, and if you want to play with the blend modes and the fading, you can do that. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and adjust the size a bit. You can also experiment with the sizing. Oop, that looks like it's going to be too big, so I'm going to go with a smaller. I'm going to go with 24 for the moment, just to get it all positioned. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on the edge here and drag it to expand the text box so that it's centered over my button. Now I see there's extra space on either side of the lettering, so I'm going to go ahead and select the text and make my font just a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on 36. And what do you know? 36 is the charm. So I'm going to go ahead, and now I'm happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So click the Save button up at the top. And here you can change your file name. In this case, I'm going to add to cart as part of the file name. And that's what your button will look like. So we're going to go ahead and save to computer. And I'm going to save it to my buttons folder here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the next button, so I'm going to go ahead and select the text, and I'm going to change it to Buy Now for my next button. And I'm going to go ahead and save it. So now all you want to do is you just want to repeat this process of changing the text and saving each button as you go along. I'm going to do one more for this tutorial. I'm going to do download. Those are the basic ones that you'll want to have for your shop with the regular size button. You of course can do some others. I've done view post, donate, or whatever you like. So I'm just going to save this last one really quick. Alrighty, so we're done with the regular size button for now, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to go open our longer shop buttons. So I'm going to search for it here in my list, long button, and I'm going to open it. Now we're going to go ahead and work on the view cart. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in like we did before, just so we can see a little bit better what we're working with here. And I'm going to go ahead and add the text again. I already know the size font that we used from the previous one. So I'm going to go ahead and add the text. I'm going to type in, well, I don't always type in. If you know what you're going to do right away, then it's sometimes easier to do it right away. So I'm going to type in the number, and remember to click enter when you've typed in your number, otherwise it doesn't select the color right away. You can also type in the size of your font, and here we go. I'm going to stretch it out first. Oh, looks like I lost the button. See what I mean? Why it's better to write in what you're working on rather than not writing in, because if you accidentally touch somewhere else, you lose it. And that's not fun. Now that I've got something written in, I'm going to go ahead and stretch it out. Nope, it's playing games with me. My computer is not liking me working on PicMonkey and recording it at the same time. But we're getting there. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and drag that down and just position it there for now. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to add a cart overlay. So we're going to go to this butterfly icon. It's the overlays icon, and we're going to click on it. And I'm going to add my own overlay. So I'm going to click up at the top, your own. And I'm going to go searching for the button that I need. I've got it in a different folder. So I'm going to go find it here. It's my cart. Just waiting for it to load. And there it is. I'm going to drag it over onto the button. And now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. As you can see, it's the exact same color as my text. So I'm just going to go into the corners and the sides and drag it to expand it. And reposition it. Now, on my actual shop, I have the cart on the other side of the button. I couldn't remember when I was making the tutorial which way I had it, so I made it on this side, but it works well either way. You can make it on this side, the left side, or the right side. It's totally up to you. Then you may want to just position the text and stretch it out so that it centers accordingly. There, just a smidge more. Now it's perfectly centered in the blank space. I'm happy with it, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a save. And I'm going to rename my button. And saving it to my computer now. Now we're going to work on the return or go back button. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the shopping cart and type in go back, so you can see one option, or you could type in return. I prefer return. I think it sounds nicer, but go back works just as well. So now that I've changed that, I'm going to go ahead and delete the shopping cart, which you can do over in the box that opens up for the overlay. Now I'm going to go over to the arrows option in the overlays list and find a fun arrow. There's a bunch of basic options that you can choose from, and there's some royal ones which are paid options. I'm pretty happy using the free version of PicMonkey, and it has the arrow that I want to use right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and there it pops up, and I'm going to flip it so it faces the other way and change the color. Now I'm going to reposition it and make it bigger. That's centered. Remember, all you want to do is hover over the image and this will appear and you can move it. You click on it and then you move it, and on the sides, if you click on the edge, you can stretch them. I'm going to stretch it out this big, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the text box so that it's centered in this space, like so. And there we have a return button. So now I'm happy with it, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a save by clicking up at the top, and of course you rename the button, and then you can continue making however many longer buttons that you need. It depends on what you want for your shop. You may not need these, so you may have a different idea of what you like, but that's basically what you can do with the long buttons and the short buttons. And there you go. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to PicMonkey again, and this time we're going to work on a fancy button. It's loading. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just click on the design tool. This time I'm going to show you what happens if you just click on it. So go ahead and click on it, or you can go ahead and hover over it to click on the custom and adjust your size there. Here you see it's a square, and it's prompted me to change the color, so I'm going to go ahead and pick one of my purples from my site. And I'm going to click apply. Now I'm going to go ahead to the bottom here and click on the resize option. I'm going to uncheck the key proportions so that way I can make them have different lengths. I'm going to do 400 by 100. It's the same ratio as my regular buttons, but it's much larger. Alright, so now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to the textures option, and I'm going to click on it. It's the second one from the bottom, and I'm going to show you just a few of the fun textures that I really like from here that are free. One of my favorites is water, and there's so many fun things you can do and options that you can click on. And then of course there's the blend modes, which gives you even more options, and then saturation and fade and moving it around also helps to do it. So let's take a look at this space. There's a few options in the space one, which is also kind of fun. But that's not the one we want to do, so I'm just going to click cancel. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. My absolute favorite is the weave. So I'm going to click on it, and here we go. It's got 6 options, and I like the third one. It's actually the one that I use as the background on my site. And here we're going to see some blend mode options. There's several here. You can see that some make them lighter, some make them darker, some give them a bit more depth and boldness. I really like the overlay option, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it to select it. And I'm happy with the way it looks here, so I'm not going to adjust the fade or saturation, but I'm going to go straight over to the frames icon, which is the third from the bottom, do you remember? And from there I'm going to add a little more depth to my button, but first I'm going to start with rounded corners. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the rounded corners option, which is the second from the top, and from here I'm going to check the transparent corners so that way it blends in with wherever I put it, and I want to make the corners a little bit more rounded, so I'm going to adjust the corner radius. I'm just going to go little by little to see what I like. That looks about good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and click apply. Now I just want to show you really quick the museum mate as a fun option that sometimes one can do. I'm not going to do this, but it would make a really fun button, that's for sure. You just have to adjust the thickness, and you have a cool border for your rounded button. But I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the drop shadow because I want a more simple button, and I'm going to adjust the distance like we did before, and so it's more centered. And I'm going to make the transparent background, and I'm going to leave everything else as it is and just click apply. And I'm happy with it, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a save. I'm going to call it Fancy Button and save it to my computer. That's good. And there you have one fancy button. Alright, so now we're going to work on the second fancy button, and you can see I've already gone back to the basic edits, which is the one at the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and adjust the canvas color. So I'm going to click on the canvas color. Just waiting for it to load. And I'm going to change it to the same purple that we started with again. And I'm going to click apply. From here I'm going to go ahead and resize my button so I get it back to the same size that it was before. This time I'm going to leave the key proportions on. Oh wait, that's not right. Check off. I want it to be 100, not 120. Apply. And now I'm going to show you some special effects options that you can do, and that's the second one from the top. It's the one below the basic edits. So I'm going to click on that. There's a lot of fun options that you can do, and there's many free. Like here's just some of what you can do. You can click on them and see what they do. Since I've just got a plain color, some of these won't really do very much other than change the color, but they are kind of fun. The frost is fun for Christmassy themed pictures. Scroll down here. I really like this bokeh shapes option. That's the one we're going to do. I'm going to click on it, and there's fun little shapes that you can pick on, and you can adjust the size and the blur and everything like that. I'm just going to make them a little smaller. And I'm going to leave the blur as none, but you can play around when you're making yours to see what it looks like. Those are the options. I'm happy with it, so I'm going to click apply. Oops. Don't want to click on that. Cancel. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go over to the frames and give my button a little bit of depth, like we did for the first fancy button. I'm going to go ahead and give it some rounded corners. I'm going to adjust the radius to the same size that I have the first one, which is 30. Maybe I'm going to make it smaller. What am I doing? Nope, I definitely want to make it bigger. I like it more round. I'm happy with it like that, so I'm going to click apply. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a drop shadow. And adjust the distance and make it transparent. Oops, sometimes if you accidentally click it twice, it unselects it and then it lags, so you have to click it again. And I'm going to click apply because I'm happy with it like this. And I'm going to click on save. I'm going to rename my button and save it to the computer. And what's really fun is if you mix the textures and the effects together, you can come up with a really cool design. But that's it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to check out the description box below for more details about making shop buttons, and subscribe to my channel for more great tutorials. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.